Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, colleagues. Thank you for taking the time to view our group's research on the human resource management model of Gojek Indonesia and Gojek Vietnam. So, after 3 months full developing the reports, our group can now present our findings to you. And before we begin, I'd like to elaborate that we've dispersed the four topics equally. So, Chapter 1 will be represented by Alif, Chapter 2 by Aldo, Chapter 3 by Dzaky, and I will conclude and recommend the overall report before we close the session. So without further ado, Alif will elaborate the company overview, report purpose, methodology, and research limitation. Alif?
Thank you, Lita. Hello, everyone. My name is Alif, and today I will show you a presentation about the company background. Next. Okay, so the PT Aplikasi Karya Anak Bangsa, or Gojek, is on-demand, multi-service, and digital payment technology platform based in Indonesia. The company was founded in 2010 by the four founders, which is Nadiem Makarim, Kevin Alui, and Michael Angelo Moran. Since then, the company has expanded rapidly, offering a wide range of service to consumers as well as expanding operation outside of Indonesia. From the start, the company has focused on providing customers with two-wheel catcher service, including ride-hailing and meal delivery. Their super app, which was introduced in 2015, handled all service and transactions. Gojek began as a phone center with the purpose of rapidly connecting traditional object drivers and consumers. Today, the app provides consumers with more than 20 services, making it Indonesia's most powerful mobile super app. Gojek has around 2019 and has grown to other countries, including Vietnam. They have also secured more than 900,000 GoFood merchant partners, including SMEs across Indonesia. And in 2019, Gojek has contributed more than 7.1 trillion to the national economy. And Gojek has received a series of awards and recognition. Gojek has become the only one company in Southeast Asia that was featured twice in Fortune 15 companies that changed the world in 2017 and 2019. Next slide, please. Because of Gojek market domination, numerous challenges have arisen. Gojek engaged in an unexpected fight with the traditional taxi and object service to the point where the government nearly prohibited ride-hailing service. Among other things, their biggest challenge is their number one competitor, which is Grab. Gojek driver partners have changed to Grab mainly because they can provide relatively bigger compensation package. Gojek difficulties include keeping their technology capable of meeting large client demands, managing the needs of their driver partners and stakeholders. Next slide, please. The first introduced in 2018, Gojek Vietnam has more than 18,000 food and beverage merchant partners and 150,000 driver partners in Vietnam. Gojek offers three services in Vietnam, which is GoRide, GoFood, and GoSend under the brand name of GoViet. Gojek is committed to scale their business further and improve the quality of life across the Southeast Asia. With Gojek Vietnam, they focus on speed, innovation, and social impact. Vietnam is the home of more than 19 million people whose government have released a series of regulations allowing for such features to make available within the region. Slide, please. The goal of this paper is to make the comparison the HRM practice of Gojek Indonesia and Gojek Vietnam. The differences between the domestic HR and HRM are mediated by 5 variables. The study will examine into each of 5 aspects with a particular focus on the differences in human resource activities between these two. Secondary data and research are used widely in the study. Secondary data are easier to obtain and are just accurate and dependable as a primary data because they're frequently found in government data archives that are accessible online. And furthermore, the data used has not been subjected to any statistical analysis and therefore remains a raw data source. Lastly, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, it is the inability to communicate effectively. This study relies primarily on secondary data gathered from the variety of trustworthy web sources. We suggest that this research be continued in order to expand the data sets and obtain primary data. Interview, survey, and the other method can be used to continue this research. Next slide, please. And on the section 2 will be explained by one of my colleagues, Aldo.
Thank you, Alif. So my name is Aldo, and I'm going to present the second chapter, which is the model variable analysis. So first of all, let's see the Dowling models of variable. So these moderators could either diminish or highlight the differences between domestic and international HRM. Includes the industry, the complexity of the country involved, attitude of senior management, reliance on the home country domestic market, and of course, the cultural environment itself. So the first one, the industry within which the multinational is primarily involved. Human resources are involved in almost every aspect of a company. The HRM function is often seen as a driver of the value chain of the entire organization. The type of industry the firm is classified into plays an important role in international competition. HRM main function is to support the firm activities regardless of what market they're in, and in order to obtain a competitive advantage through multiple differentiation. How the firm is established in one market cannot be treated the same within another market. All in all, different industries in which the multinational is involved will ultimately shape the HR function and activities as a whole. The second one is the complexity involved in operating in different countries and employing different national categories of employees. According to Dowling, the companies need to understand how to balance foreign and domestic subsidiaries, adapt to new environments, and use different national categories to differentiate employees. This is needed to understand how companies can manage their global workforce to boost their competitive advantage. The third one is the attitude of senior management. If senior management doesn't possess a strong global orientation, the international activities that the firm is trying to undertake may be seen as trivial to their subordinates. Also, senior management with little to none experience abroad may assume that international activities would involve extensive preparation to begin with. Both of these cases could lead to demotivation in the workplace. This could influence the corporate goals and the objective as a whole, where the subordinates may tend to focus on domestic activities rather than the international objective itself. The extent of reliance of the multinational on its home country domestic market. Although the firm size is important, the circumstances of the company's domestic market is another worth considering. How the firm relies on the home country domestic market is crucial to understand, as relatively smaller market is able to unlock a new international market. As mentioned by Dowling, a large domestic market could also influence senior managers and their international activities. For example, one reason why companies choose to expand is the small market demand in their home country. Yet for the company that are relatively bigger in size, tend to stay rigid to cater their market needs in their home country. That is why focusing on international market activity may not reflect the true ranking of an international company, since the state of their home country still plays an important role on the matter. Also, the cultural environment itself, according to Oxford, culture refers to the customs of a particular nation, people, or other social groups. It is important to keep in mind that not always being conscious of its relationship to values, attitudes, and behaviors are one of the characteristics of culture itself. One of the example in global business is appreciating cultural differences amongst colleagues at work. For years, such example alongside research about culture in the workplace has been accepted as how culture plays as an important variable that moderates differences between domestic and international HRM. Understanding cultural differences is essential for HR managers everywhere, considering HR-related activities are governed by different legal contexts and values depending on the country the firm is currently operating in. This concept of cultural environment provide a clear challenge to tackle, which is tolerating differences in the workplace. So the chapter 3 would be presented by my colleagues. Dzaky, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Aldo. So, hi, I'm Dzaky Indiano. Today I'm going to explain about the chapter 3, which is the analysis between Gojek Indonesia and Gojek Vietnam. Like this. So the first point I want to talk about is the regulation in Gojek service. Gojek Indonesia operates in a number of industries, including transportation and logistics, payments, and food and retail, and also the entertainment. Gojek is dedicated to developing as a technology firm with strong social focus. Many worldwide corporations want to work with Gojek, making it an international company to work for. Go Vietnam was chosen as a country partner by Gojek to access into the transportation, logistics, and food and beverage industries. Employees in Vietnam, according to Kamochi in 2001, are bonded by long-term connections and interpersonal trust. Vietnamese executives protect their company's image by delaying layoffs or pay cuts in order to better care for their staff. This is in line with Gojek Indonesia's ethos, which places a premium on employee happiness. Slide, please. Second point that I want to talk about is the complexity involved in operating in different countries and employing different national categories of employment. Motorcycles are frequently used by Indonesian and Vietnamese citizens to mobilize. Citizens frequently rely on public transportation as a source of revenue. Aside from rapid development, Gojek faced language challenges in Vietnam, as the majority of its employees only speak Vietnamese. According to Janssen and Steyer in 2014 and Luo and Shenkar in 2006, communication in a global corporation must remain multilingual with a number of local tongues employed in addition to the official language. Next slide, please. Third point, which is the attitudes of senior management from both of Gojek. In Vietnam, Gojek employed host country manager Pung Thon Duc to help local employees overcome linguistic and cultural challenges. Cummings discovered in 2008 that Indonesian firms face more constraints. According to Truong and Nguyen in 2002, Vietnamese culture shares several characteristics with Chinese culture, including high collectivism, big power distance, high uncertainty avoidance, masculinity, and long-term orientation. We believe Gojek chose to hire local expertise to ease their entry into Vietnam's domestic market and to provide their board of directors a sense of familiarity. Next slide, please. The fourth point is the extent of reliance of the multinational on its home country domestic market. Because Vietnam and Indonesia are two similar marketplaces, Gojek Vietnam can succeed like Indonesia. Vietnamese consumers are receptive to new things, particularly technology. Over the years, the company's expertise of the market has helped them compete. From an HR standpoint, Gojek's apps' great reliability improve public trust in the organization. A high level of dependability raised brand awareness, and as a result, the company brand generating the impression that Gojek is one of the greatest places to Gojek Vietnam for information, particularly about the situation on the ground. Employee engagement rise as they collaborate to share information, learn, and grow. Next slide, please. Last point that I want to talk about is the cultural environment. Gojek decided to expand to Vietnam since the two countries' cultures and markets are practically similar or identical. Human resource management operations, including as incentive management, performance management, and recruiting, may be influenced by the Vietnamese culture. For example, the training delivered to Indonesian and Vietnamese staff diverse, and both trainings should be tailored to the cultures and demands of each country. Furthermore, the conventional HR methods used in Indonesia and Vietnam are not the same. What works in Indonesia might not work in Vietnam. As a result, price, promotion, and even conventional practice and standard may vary. Next slide, please. And so this is from me. And for the conclusion will be explained by my colleague, which is Lita. Lita, the floor is yours.
So, thank you, Alif, Aldo, Dzaky, for such wonderful presentation from your part. And now to conclude our report. The five variables that underlie the differences between a domestic and international HRM, according to Delling, forms what the company needs to adapt to market condition and to compete with others. We found that when we're talking about the industry, Gojek Indonesia is touching more industries than Gojek Vietnam, but this doesn't mean that the latter is experiencing a more simple HR activities because of it. Gojek Indonesia still needs to take into account the characteristic of Vietnamese employees, as well as the outlook for the industry here. The HR activities in another country must be done while still taking the characteristics of the people there into account to avoid unwanted risk. And to maximize Gojek's knowledge of the local area, Gojek Vietnam trusts a local country manager and team to minimize language and culture barriers with the local employees. And not only that, but Gojek also decided to trust locals to smoothen their operation within Vietnam. And Gojek has also increased its app's reliability, which increases the brand awareness and in turn becomes the company's employer brand, where Gojek is perceived as a great company to work for. Employer branding is important for Gojek, not only in the eyes of applicants, but also to increase the public's trust. And last but not least, the Vietnamese culture has affected various HRM activities for Gojek expansion to the country from the beginning until today, where their operation is now commencing daily. They have to constantly remember what was successfully implemented in Indonesia may not work the same in Vietnam, according to Dzaky. That is why Gojek must constantly monitor what works and what doesn't there, and to embrace room for constant improvements. So, with the findings mentioned previously, we recommend for Gojek Vietnam and Gojek Indonesia to trust the locals of Vietnam to lead a greater share of operation within the country, have regular alignment meetings to discuss progress and improvements needed to be made, whilst encouraging the Vietnam team to hone insights from the country, and to hold training sessions so that Vietnamese employees are able to communicate more effectively and efficiently. So that is all from us. Thank you so much for your time and attention. See you.